Hello. Today I want to talk about inversions in English. So the most common use of inversions in English is when we're forming a question. So as many of you will have seen already, if we have an affirmative sentence like this one here, he is English, we use the subject first and then the verb follows the subject. But in a question, we invert the subject and the verb. So the subject and the verb here have swapped positions, becoming is he English? Becoming a question. Okay, we can also use this in very formal written work or very formal speech for emphasis. So we can put an adverb or an adverbial expression at the beginning of a sentence instead of in its usual position in the sentence to emphasize the strength of the adverb or the action that's taking place in the sentence. Where I said we use an adverb, I should have said that we use a negative adverb. So things like hardly, hardly ever, meaning almost never, rarely, seldom, which means almost never, never. So negative adverbs like that. Or adverbial phrases, adverbial expressions like not only, only then, no sooner, only later, in no way, etc. Okay, so I'll run through some examples of how I've used the inversion in these four sentences. So here I've said, not only was it raining, but the wind was freezing. So in a normal sentence, I might have said, it was not only raining, but the wind was freezing. But here, to stress the not only part, I put it at the start of the sentence here, and I followed it with an inversion. Instead of it was, I put was it. Okay, the next one. Never have I seen such a rude person. So in a normal sentence, present perfect, this would be I have never seen such a rude person. But instead, I've put the adverb never at the start of the sentence, and then I followed it by an inversion of the have and the I. So never have I seen instead of I have never seen. Okay, the next one is a little bit more complicated because the sentence would have originally been in the past simple. So it would be I rarely took a day off sick. However, because we've put rarely at the start and we need to use an inversion that follows, we had to use the word did, which is the auxiliary that we use in questions when they're in the past simple. If I said, rarely took I a day off sick, it wouldn't sound good. So if we're using the past simple or the present simple, just the same way as with questions, we have to use the auxiliary do or did. And finally, I've said here, nowhere was it clearer than in my office. In a normal sentence, I would say, it was clearer nowhere than in my office. But even that sounds a bit strange, because I want to stress nowhere. So I put nowhere at the start of the sentence for stress. And then I follow it with was it instead of it was, an inversion. Okay, there are a few more even more complicated, sorry, I'm thinking in inversions now, situations where we might change conditional sentences. But I'm going to make another video about that in the future, because that's a very specific and complicated point. But here's a general overview of how to use inversions. Now, one important thing, don't use them too often. So in English, we don't use these very often in our speech, except for when we're feeling very strongly about something. So, for example, if I'm very angry because I got fired from my job, I might say, "Rarely did I take a day off work, and yet they've still sacked me." But we don't use it very much in common speech, so don't use it too much. And the same in writing, you have to be careful only to use it when you're writing formally, and even then not to use it too much. And if you're writing something like a text message to your friend, you definitely don't need to use this. Okay, that's everything I have for you today. I hope you found that useful. If you did, please give me a like and share the video with your friends.